All right, everybody, this week on Archery 101, we're on step 4 of building the shot cycle, setting the grip. Gar! Wrestling reference from when I was a kid. All right, everybody, here we are. All right, class, take your seats. Let's get this going. Let's talk about step 4, building that foundation for a successful shot cycle, and it's setting the grip. Now, you know from the past videos, obviously step 4, there's 3 more that came before, right? Duh. All right, step 1 is the stance. Step 2, knocking the arrow. Step 3, setting the hook. And now step 4, setting the grip. Now before we go on, I'm going to address one point. I made a video on my other channel called 3D Archery a while ago, many years ago. And this guy took me to task about the word grip. How it's not an accurate term, blah, blah, blah. And I've had other people say it. Listen, boys and girls, this is a word. Don't get too hooked up on it. Don't trip over it. It is a word. Now, I use the word grip because USA Archery, pretty big group, don't you think? And World Archery, the people that run the Olympics, use that term. All right? It's a grip. You can have a tight grip. You can have a soft grip. In martial arts, that grip, that's a grip. Right? That's a Hapkido grip. That's a this grip. This is this grip. I can lightly grip. I can strongly grip. I can get a grip here. I can get a grip on things. Right? It's a word. Let's not focus on the word and not the message, which tends to happen a lot in these videos, huh? All right. Step 4, setting the grip, is like the previous 3 steps, a preparatory movement. What it is just another brick in building our solid foundation. Now, the first question we got to ask ourselves is, why is a grip important? You know, that's good. You know, a good solid grip will help you have a better shot. Now, if you have variances in your grip, it can affect your accuracy. All right? So, what's some elements of a good grip? Well, one, it's got to be natural. Right? It just can't be forced. 2, it has to be comfortable. It's something that your body likes to do and it doesn't cause you any pain, discomfort, or makes you think about it. And most importantly, 3, it has to be easily repeatable. Now, even if it's not easily repeatable, it can become that way over time. You know, when something's new, it feels odd and unusual, but the more you do it, the more you get used to it. That muscle memory thing, right? All right, so 3 things that a good grip should have should be natural, comfortable, and once again, repeatable. All right, so now that we got the basics down, before we go about the grip, we got to talk about something that influences what grip you're going to use. And that is your bow. Right? I hear the question a lot of times, does the bow dictate what grip I should use? Woohoo, great question. All right, so let's talk about bows. You know, there's many types of bows. You got your long bow, your English long bow, American flat bow, you got the recurve, you got your composite bow, you got your horse bow, you got this bow, you got that bow, you got the bow tie, you got everything else, right? I can't cover them all, so I'm going to stick it into just generally the long bow, recurve, modern bows, the ones you see today, mass-produced ones, all right? We're not going to get into all the subgenres and things like that. So the first bow that we always talk about when people talk about archery, especially for the grip, is the long bow. And in specific, what I'm talking about is the Howard Hill longbow, like this picture right here showing the grip. See that grip? That grip there is going to probably dictate how you hold the bow, right? I mean, you would think that, wouldn't you? All right. So that's from the 50s, 40s, 50s, 30s, somewhere in there. But in the 60s, they started to play around. They started putting sight grips. Now right here is a Model 960. It's probably a 1963 Ben Pearson Colt. Yes, it's called a semi-recurve. The Colts were originally like this. And as you can see here from the video, it's starting to get a little pronounced handle. But if I turn it sideways, look how thin she is. All right. So how would you grip this bow? Well, these are right-handed bows. All right. I could grab it Howard Hill style, just like that. It works pretty good. I could also grab it like this, works pretty good. So this one's pretty open interpretation, and I think that's why people went to this. It allowed a little more variation, felt a little more comfortable. You know, the pistol grip is there for a reason. It hasn't been changed a whole lot, has it? Right? The pistol grip's just a natural ergonomical way for people to grab. Then as we got farther down in the 60s, the grips got a little deeper. And they started making a little bit of a thumb rest on it. Now, this bow here, I can still grab it the Howard Hill style, although this, I will say, is slightly uncomfortable. Right? This is a little bit more comfortable. Then came another one. Now, this is where it gets funny. Those two bows were, first one's from 63, the second one's from 69. I'm going to show you the best target bow from the 1950s. Won more championships than anything else. The 1958 Ben Pearson Palomino. That's a pistol grip, even from the side. This baby, you can't hold it that Howard Hill style. This baby's held much more closer to today's style. Right? It can be held like that. You can put that grip on it, but it is definitely a real pistol grip. And the pistol grips have become the dominant grip. Even with what people call American flat bows and all that, they have a semi-pistol grip, if you want to call it. And they started getting crazy with it. So here in 1969, this is my Ben Pearson Mustang. You can see the angle, the grip's not as long. Actually pretty much is, not a little shorter. The angle's slightly different, but what they did, look at that thumb rest. They put a serious thumb rest. Alright, this hand goes right here, just like that. That does feel good. That thumb fits naturally right in there. It's real simple for the grip. But there's some bows that defy all those descriptions. You know, people say you got a shallow grip, a medium grip. Well, this is a man's grip. Look how deep that baby is. That's what some people call a deep grip. It is huge and thick. This puppy fills my hand up. I have a hard time putting my hand all the way around it. As you can see right there. Let's go with back to the Mustang. I can put my fingers together much easier. Let's go back to the 58 Palomino. Oh yeah, I can wrap them like that. And then let's go all the way back to the 69. Oh yeah, just bad as Palomino. And let's go all the way back to 1963, my birth year. And boom, my fingers almost wrap all the way around it. All right? So you can see that bow, in many ways, can dictate what grip you're going to use. All right? So just keep that in your mind, because we're going to talk about that later on. All right? So, there's two terms you need to know when you set your grip. The first one is called the pivot point. The pivot point's in your web of your hand, right about up here. All right? And that's the first thing you're going to set. The second term you're going to need to know is the pressure point. Now these are two different points, and the bow stays in contact with both throughout the entire shot cycle. Pivot point here, and then you get the pressure point. Now this is when people start to have a lot of variance. We all know right here called the lifeline, right? The pressure point should be over on here. It's on the meaty portion of the thumb. All right. Now I know some people that put it here. It should never really be here, although I know a few that do that. All right, but it should be in this area here. So the two terms you need to know is pivot point and pressure point. Now, I'm going to read this off my little script that I got down here so I don't mess it up. All right. For a right-handed archer, the pressure should be to the right of center of the hand, and just the opposite for us lefties. All right, so if I'm shooting right-handed as my left-handed grab it, the pressure should be right of center. Now, what that also means is on the grip also. If I'm grabbing it, it's not center, it's to this side, right of center. All right, it's on this side of the bow should be the pressure, not this side. And I do know a lot of people that do that, and they tend to torque like that. So it's on this side of the bow, right of center for righties, left of center for us lefties. All right. Now, the other thing you need to know is the handle determines pressure and pivot points. The pressure point and pivot point on this bow, right? Pivot point here, pressure point would be right about in here. The deeper the handle, the closer the 2 points are going to be, especially on this bow. Right? Pressure here, pivot here, pressure here. They're going to be much closer together. So the steeper the angle of your grip, the closer the pivot and the pressure point are going to be. Pretty simple? All right. So now we're going to talk about the next thing you need to know about, your fingers. All right? Do you have your fingers, we'll use this bow. Do you have the fingers with a grip? Or do you have your fingers, you know, this grip, this, or maybe this? And you can do all three. I just wouldn't do the first one. A death grip, I think almost everybody out there agrees is a bad thing. The grip should be nice and light, no tight squeezing. Now, we're going to pop up a picture here of Howard Hill, and you can see his grip. Now look at his grip. Does that look tight, or does that look relaxed and natural? Right? I would say it looks relaxed and natural, and that's what I think it is. Now, look at Byron Ferguson using the same bow. He has a slightly different grip, but again, does that look tight, or does that look relaxed and natural? All right. Now the other one is fingers tucked, and this is preferred by a lot of Olympic archers and target archers. You know, the hunting people say you can't do it. Argument for another day. Right? Right here is Jimmy Blockman, IBO and NFA world champion. One hell of a shot. And look at his grip. His fingers aren't even on the bow. And then this one, his finger's actually extended. Now I think that's because he's using a finger sling. But you're going to see later on, we're going to compare some pictures. You're going to see how his grip has slight variances from bow to bow. And now up next here you see D. Wayne Martin. D. Wayne Martin, if you don't know who he is the top IBO shooter in the world right now. In fact, he is the first trad guy to ever beat all the compounds at a shoot. All right? Yeah. Try that. You talk a smack, but you know what he does isn't right. He beat the compounds. No other trad guy's done that in a long time, if at all. Especially in the modern era with all the gizmos and gadgets and all that. He doesn't use any of that. All right. Fingers should be relaxed. You can put your fingertips on the edge. You can slightly wrap it around, or you don't have to put them on at all. Your choice. You can play with it. Now we're going to talk about this right here, the opposable thumb, what sets us apart from all the other animals, right? That's what they always tell us. I don't know if it's true. Now here's where it gets interesting, because I don't really do it. When I've been researching this and looking at pictures and reading everybody's stuff and watching videos and all that, trying to find other people's ways, because I could talk about how I do it, but I can't talk about how other people do it. The thumb. Do you wrap it around the bow? Do you push it out, or what? Well, I think pretty much everybody agrees you shouldn't wrap it around the bow really hard. Right? When I shoot, my thumb is like that. Just relaxed. Sometimes like that. Right? Now, what I found, and we're going to see later on, is when you've got your bow, I don't want to hit anything, so I'm going to pull back here so I don't get smacked at my table and get myself all upset because I damaged my pretty Mustang. When you're here, see where my thumb is pointing down? They say that's bad. Your thumb should point at your target. Alright? The thumb, when you draw, should be pointing at your target. Now, I pretty much don't think I do that. So that's something I myself am going to play with starting tonight. Alright? So let's look at these pictures here. Now pay attention to the thumbs. Right? We're going to run through them all, and then I'll come back and talk to you about them. But watch where the thumbs are. Almost everybody in these pictures has their thumb pointing at the target. All right, everybody, you've seen it. Everybody's thumb is pointing at the target. It tells you something. It tells me something. Something I'm going to pay attention to. I don't know if I do it or not, but I'm going to find out. Now, I think that thumb pointing also will affect your pressure point. Something for us to think about. All right, so now we're going to go back to those pictures. I'm going to put a few more into it, right? And I want you to look at these famous archers and look at their grips. All right, everybody, pretty neat, right? You can see different styles. Now, let's talk about them. Up first we seen was Howard Hill. You know, Howard Hill has his fingers wrapped all the way around the bow, but you can tell it's a pretty relaxed grip. And the one thing you will see, that grip was consistent, wasn't it? Right? And that's one of those big keys, is to have the same thing over and over, be consistent. Then you've seen Byron Ferguson shooting the same style of bow with the same grip, but on the bow itself, but he used a different grip himself. Instead of having his fingers like this, you can see his fingers are out like that. So instead of grabbing it like so, right, he grabbed it like so. So you can do a Howard Hill bow without having that vertical grip. And you can't say it doesn't work, because Byron Ferguson makes it work pretty good, right? All right. Next one up we see was Jimmy Blockman. Remember I told you IBO champ, and he's a big time hunter. Him and his kid hunt all the time. Right? If you notice, he had a slightly different grip in all the pictures, but he did use a different bow every time. You know, slight variances are okay, but I bet you he kept the same core concepts. And up next is Dwayne Martin. Now the picture I have of Dwayne Martin is pretty wild, ain't it? Fingers are out. You probably couldn't see it, so I'm going to blow it up and show it to you right here. Look at that. Thumb pointing the target, but his fingers are too. Now I don't know if he still does that. All right? So I'm going to have to do some research on that to find out if that's the same way he holds it. But that's cool. But he's probably using a finger sling so the bow doesn't pop out of his hands. Now next up is Brady Ellison. Who's Brady Ellison, Greg? Well, just one of the best recurve shooters and Olympic archer in the world. He started in compounds, switched over to recurve so he could shoot in the Olympics, and he's a big time, guess what? Guess what? That's right. He's a big time hunter. Every year he goes out hunting. That stuff doesn't work in hunting. Works for him. He shoots better than all of us, doesn't he? In Olympic archery, his average is 9 out of 10 per arrow. 80 meters, I think it is, or something like that. Pretty darn good. Now, after that, some unknown longbow guy that I found on the internet, but it's a good picture. You can see his grip right here, right? See, fingers around it, but you can tell the pressure is all in the same area. And then there's this unknown recurve shooter here, which is pretty cool, you know, in a competition, but again, fingers are around it, but where's the pressure located? Not a death grip either. And then last I popped this guy up, because man, I ain't seen nothing like this. I've heard about it, I've played with it once or twice to show it doesn't work to people, and that's shooting from the web of the hand. And that's what he does, didn't he? And he's in some competition, so I don't know how well he did or not, but just goes to show you, it can be done. All right, so we looked at those pictures, but did you notice something about them? Did you? All right, let's go through all those pictures one last time and see if you notice something. All right, everybody. So what'd you notice? What I noticed was that everybody in the pictures, with the exclusion of Howard Hill, used a grip that is very similar to the one used by Olympic archers. You know, we got to ask ourselves, why is that? Right? And I'll tell you pretty much what I think it is. It's because that grip meets all the requirements of a good grip. You know, yeah, there might be slight variations here and there, you know, fingers, this, that, but they all share more things in common than they do in differences. You know, and that use of that grip has won more tournaments than any other method out there. You got to think about it this way. This is how I look at things. If all the best shooters are doing this, why are you doing that? Now, some of you might reply, well, I'm a hunter. Time out. Boys and girls, Byron Ferguson, Brady Ellison, Jimmy Blackman, and D. Wayne Martin, top shooters, are all proficient and successful hunters. Again, if everybody's doing this, why are you doing that? I'm not here, but I'm not here. I am working my way over turds here. All right? It might work for you for now. You might change it later. My mantra is good enough. Right? Is what you're doing good enough for now? If your expectation is just to hit the animal, that might be good enough. But if your expectation is to hit the 8 spot, it may not. The 10 ring, may not. Hit him in the heart every time, may not. Hit that aspirin out of the air, may not be. What is good enough for you? All right. Talked a whole bunch of stuff, went over the important things and trying to explain to you and give you some food for thought. So let's talk about setting the grip itself. So first thing you do is you're going to come up and get your stance, right? You got the different stances, which is in the previous video. You're going to make sure you got your body alignment. You make sure you got your body set properly. Then you're going to hook the arrow. Now how you hook the arrow, knock the arrow, correction. Right? Knock the arrow. How you knock it is determined by your environment. You might have to do it vertically, you can do it horizontally, or it might be pre-knocked for you. Then you're going to set your hook. All right, and once you set your hook, there's no more moving it. Those fingers are set and locked into place. You're going to have slight tension on the string so you can keep your hook in place. Now we're going to set the bow. With your hand in the bow, the first thing you set is the pivot point, and that's when you knock it. It's sort of set like, not really in the pivot point, you're just lightly holding it. Once you knock it, you're going to set your pivot point and roll it down and set your pressure point. Then you're going to put your fingers where you want them, making sure that your thumb is not pointing up, not pointing down, but pointing at your target. All right? Relaxed grip with a pressure and pivot point. Majority of the pressure is here, but I still have contact in my pivot point. And boys and girls, after that, you are ready for the next step, the final preparatory movement before we begin the good stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Short video, hopefully. We'll see once I make it. Let's review everything real quick. Right? Step 4, setting the grip. The word grip is just a term. Don't get hooked, tripped over it, hooked up on it, strung up on it. Don't dwell on it. All right? You know what I'm saying. If I say aluminum and you're from England, you know I mean aluminium. If a person from England says a schedule, I know they're talking to me about a schedule. A hood is a bonnet or something like that. We know what they're talking about, all right? Listen to the message and don't focus on the word. All right. Good. Every grip has 3 good elements. It's natural, it's comfortable, and it's repeatable. The type of bow that you're going to use can dictate what your grip's going to be like. There are 2 terms you need to know that are very important. The pivot point and the pressure point. The type of grip on your bow is going to determine how far apart the pressure and pivot point are from each other. All right? You want to put it in the meaty portion of your hand, just off the lifeline. And you want, finally, your thumb to point at the target. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Setting the grip. We have one more brick in our foundation for a successful shot cycle. We've built ourselves all up. We are good to go now. Our foundation has been built. Now it's time to put in the most important part that we have, our brain. All right, class, that is it for the day. I personally am going to go out and practice the thumb thing and see if I'm really doing it or not. I want you to do the same. All right, step 4 down, step 5 coming up. All right, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, tell me why in the comments down below. And I'll see you next time with an all-new episode covering the next step of the shot cycle, step number 5, on Archery 101. All right, class is dismissed. Let's go shoot some arrows.